Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. It's NFC Championship game. We've got Arizona at Carolina. I'm joined by Scott Spreitzer and Bryan Leonard. I'm Marco D'Angelo. Guys, how about that first half we saw from the Carolina Panthers last week? Probably the best half of football we've seen the entire playoffs. But what about the second half? Should we be concerned? Scott, what'd you take from that one? For me, when you got a game that goes so dominant one half and then the other way, it's hard to, what do you take from it? Which way do you come out?
I think that basically the first half showed what's wrong with Seattle, what they got to change for next year. They have the lowest paid offensive line in all of the NFL. That offensive line got manhandled in the first half, and then Russell Wilson makes that mistake to go down 14-0. And obviously in the second half, up 31-0, Carolina changes their game plan a little bit. But it was also a case of Russell Wilson making plays in the second half. But we saw a Seattle team that has a great defense, that the defense was never really given a chance. You had that bust-out run by Jonathan Stewart. I think he ran for 2 yards per carry after that. That was it, 18 carries for like 46, 47 yards after that one big run. But it was a meltdown of that offensive line. And he had no protection. And that's been Seattle all year. It's been an offensive line problem, the inability to get Jimmy Graham on the same page. Of course, he's been injured now for several weeks. But when he was healthy, the inability to get him on the same page as Russell Wilson. And it all came to a head against a very good football team. So I don't overrate Carolina for the first half. I don't underrate Carolina for the second half. And you got to be careful about doing that, I think.
Now, Bryan, the opponent, Arizona, comes in what a game that looked like closer than maybe it should have been, and obviously got into overtime on a couple miracle plays by Aaron Rodgers, who seems to have gotten down this Hail Mary pass pretty good to score at the end of the game. They should just go to the Hail Mary earlier, and the success they've had this year. But what do you make of Arizona? Was it a case maybe of just being a little bit too cocky from as easy as it was the first time these two met just a few weeks ago?
You take a look at what Arizona's done the last couple of games. They have not been nearly as potent offensively. They haven't been able to run the football. That's been a concern, and you have to be able to run a football when you're playing a good football team. And in Green Bay, I'll give them credit. They never gave up in that game, and of course, when you have Aaron Rodgers, you're not going to have that situation. But Carolina is one of those teams right now that's just on a mission. Obviously, Arizona. And the interesting thing is, I think Carolina's won 12 straight games at home, but Arizona's 7-1 straight up on the road. Now, Arizona, I've been backing them a lot at home this year. On the road, they're not quite the same team, although they have been winning these games. But this is a situation right now. I am a little bit surprised the line is sitting at 3. I thought it was going to open at 3.5.
Well, there were some 3.5s for a moment when we saw the books. What they're doing with it is, I guess they don't want to get caught on the wrong side of the hook here, so they're doing.
Offshore was 3.5 at a couple places when it opened. It didn't last.
They're doing the manipulation with the odds and making you look at -3 120. So they're giving the artificial hook there with the juice. But you mentioned you got to be able to run the football, and Carolina is a team that when you look at the statistics, you can't. They're good against the run. They've held 9 of their last 10 opponents to under 100 yards rushing. But a lot of the games that they've played this year, they've had such big leads on teams that a lot of teams have abandoned the running game because they had, play catch up and throwing the football. So do you think that Arizona can have some success running the football against this team?
Well, I'm going to say that, first of all, if I'm Carolina, I load up the box on first and second down and test Carson Palmer's bad finger. Did you see the grip he was having to use on the football? I mean, yeah, I know he's had a bad playoff, bad playoff games in his career, and he was missing passes last week, and he probably should have been picked off a couple more times with a couple of the passes he threw. But when they show the way he's gripping the football right now, he's had to make an adjustment just in the last couple of weeks because of that finger injury. So I think this throws a whole wrench into that, whether they can run the football or not. You load up first and second down, you see if he can beat you on third and long when he has to drop back. And if he's still having problems gripping the football and throwing the football, you got your blueprint for success for the rest of the game against Arizona. If he's able to have a better grip on the football and they can run, they've got the receivers who can exploit a Carolina secondary that has 2 defensive backs that are different than they had just about 5 weeks ago. So it's a situation where I think we find out early on whether Carolina can keep playing the way they have the last several weeks and win this football game. It's going to be all about Carson Palmer being able to throw that football, man.
And Larry Fitzgerald's so good after the catch.
That's Green Bay.
Yeah, that's Green Bay, for sure. Bryan, with Carolina Cam Newton, everything settled, I mean, he makes this offense go. They don't have the big playmakers that some of the other teams have. They got the running back and Stewart, but do you think they have enough playmakers to get the job done against Arizona? Because Arizona can put pressure on the quarterback.
Arizona can put pressure on the quarterback, but Carolina sacks more than they do. In fact, they blitz more often. And I think he's to the point now in his career with the ability to run. I don't know if I want to blitz him because he can obviously run on his own, and that's going to really hurt him. And that's something Seattle, last week the quarterback got out and was able to freelance. He does that just as well. So it's a situation for me that I'm kind of worried about Arizona. I was rooting for Arizona to get there. That's the closest team to Las Vegas, basically. I'd like to see them get there. I think their season ends right here.
A couple of real quick notes on what you guys were saying. Arizona needs to blitz to get to the quarterback when they play the better offensive lines that they face. Who's better than Cam Newton against a blitz? That doesn't mean they're going to win this game, but I'm just pointing that out. They are 7-1 on the road, Arizona, this year. Only one of those wins, though, came against a playoff-bound team. But I was looking back. They're now 20-7 against the spread as an underdog, a pick, or a favorite up to 7 points. So in that range, they're actually 20-7 against the number. They've been very good. And again, this really does, to me, comes down to Carson Palmer's throwing ability and Jonathan Stewart not practicing all week for the most part while he tries to, get over that injury that he's had and just bring it when it comes game time. So there's a lot of question marks on this game going into the weekend.
All right, obviously we're taping on Wednesday. We got to wrap it up. You guys have any early leans you're looking at, or you're waiting to see a little more practice with Carson Palmer?
As of Wednesday, I got to see probably till Thursday night, really, to see what Carson Palmer's doing in practice, to see how Jonathan Stewart's going to be. Here's some of the information, breaking information on those two players before I can jump in. So it'll be Thursday night. I do have a play on this game if we get the right information on Thursday night about the injuries. And it's not like inside info. We're all going to hear about it. So
yeah, he hit it on with Carson Palmer. He's just not been accurate at all. And when you can't run the football, which I expect to be a problem, you have to have an accurate quarterback. He should have been intercepted 4 times last week. I think Carolina -3 is a bargain right now.
All right, there we go. Hey, guys, this weekend, you want to save $10? We're going to give you a coupon code. My Steelers are done, but we're going to make the coupon code Big Ben 10. What an effort from Ben Roethlisberger, injured last week. We'll go Big Ben and the number 10. You can save $10. And don't forget our all-access package, $69. Check it out. You can go Thursday through Monday, pick your favorite capper, get all of their plays through Monday. Only at WagerTalk.com. We'll be back with more here at WagerTalk.